What's up, everyone? Adrian here. Welcome in. Stay a while. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me on this episode 8. Today's episode is going to be on time management. This is a challenging topic because there's so many different ways that you can cover time management. It's one of the most Googled topics out there. We all want to figure out what can we how can we make most of our time, and you can take that in so many different ways, right? Philosophically, time on this earth, time at work, it goes so many different ways. Today I'm going to focus more from a strategic standpoint, right? From a business standpoint, how do we strategize our time and make sure that we're making the best use of our time when we're out there selling? But of course, there's so many different ways you can talk about this. So I'm going to split this up into a few different parts like I usually do, but I'll start with a kind of a grand overview and share some of my thoughts on time management. And then I'll break it up into 3 parts. Number 1, I'm going to talk through how to win your year by managing your time. And how to do that is you first want to win your year by winning the quarter, winning the month, and then winning each day. So if you focus on that, it'll help win your overall year when it comes to managing your time throughout the year. Number 2, we're going to talk about ROI. So what's the return on the investment of your time? So time is more valuable than money. So when we're spending money on something, we want to know what's the return on our investment when we do that. Same thing with time. When we're spending our time on an activity or on something, we really want to know what we're getting, how much return we're getting for that time as well, especially from a business standpoint when we're out there trying to sell. And then last, I'm going to wrap it up into work-life balance. I do want to fill in a little bit of personal stuff on this as well and not make it so business, but I want to make sure that you're spending time balancing your work and your initiatives and going out and hitting your goals with your life as well. And there's a simple way to do that. We'll talk about that at the very end, and then go from there. So thank you so much. Please, as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Enjoy. What's up, everyone? Welcome in. Thanks again for joining me today for this episode 8. As I mentioned in my intro, we're going to talk about time management. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to break this up into 3 different parts. First, we're going to talk about winning the year by splitting it up into winning the quarter, winning the month, and winning the day. And then we're going to talk a little bit about ROI and making sure you're keeping track of the best use of your time. And then we'll wrap it up into work-life balance, which we all want, to have a good balance between work and our personal duties as well. So before I get started, I want to share my overall thoughts on time management. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is a hard topic to cover because you can go about it so many different ways. So one of the things, it's more of a pet peeve than a thought. Have you ever asked anyone, "Hey, how's your day going?" Or, "Hey, how are you?" And their response is, "Oh, busy, busy. Oh my gosh, we're so busy. We're so busy." Busy is not a feeling. Busy is not an activity. When somebody asks you how you're doing, genuinely you say, "Good, okay, thanks for asking." So a lot of times that comes from us wanting to feel busy, or actually us wanting to feel productive by being busy. And that stems from maybe putting stuff on our calendars and doing activities that may not be the best use of our time, but we want to feel like we're being productive, right? We want to feel like we're being busy because ultimately that leads to productivity. But that's not always the case. So in the portion of ROI, I'm going to talk through that and making sure we're getting return on our time. But I just wanted to share that tidbit with you, because don't be that person where someone asks you, "How are you?" and your response is busy. Everyone's busy. It's life. Life is busy. So don't be that person. Okay, let's jump right into it. Number one, how are we going to win the year? So, when you're doing your overall goals for the year, you have your business plan set, you have your initiative set, you have your number goal. So, now let's talk about time. All right, let's plan our overall year, where we want to spend our time for the year. And in order to do that, you get a broad perspective of the year, and you want to break that down into quarterly, and then break that down to monthly, and then you want to break that down into daily. And really what I mean by that is your calendar, right? So if we're managing our time, everything's got to be on the calendar. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to keep track of what you're doing. You're not going to know what events are coming up. You're not going to know what meetings are coming up. Everything should be revolved around your calendar. And it shouldn't be about filling up your calendar with just meetings. You should set up productive meetings that are going to take you towards your goal or get you to where you need to be, instead of just feeling productive, right? So, winning the quarter, what I typically like to do is I like to plan out every quarter. So, say it's the beginning of the year, right? January, February, March. I want to plan out, right, in those the span of those 3 months. What do I want to accomplish in the span of those 3 months? How many events do I want to go to? How many trainings do I want to set up? How am I going to use my time effectively in these next 3 months to get closer to my goal? That's what I mean by winning the quarter. So plan your quarters out. Listen, they don't have to be set appointments. You just have to plan it out and create a roadmap as to what your time is going to look like within that quarter. And then, right, April, May, June, and then July, August, September, and then October, November, December. Plan out what you want to be doing, what activities you want to be doing, what you want to be using your time for during those quarters, and then from there, you break it down to winning the month. This is where you want to start planning a month ahead of time. So I do a kind of an overview, high level of what the quarter is going to look like, but I always want to have my month planned out and appointments set for the month. Don't set appointments right the week before you want to set them. You always want to set them kind of a month out, so you're planning ahead of time. That way, if there's rescheduling, if someone cancels, you can easily swap those out versus trying to do things last minute. So by winning the month, this is where you go to networking events, you do your activities, and you set those appointments ahead of time. So get that month prepared, and then you want to split that up into appointments, right, trainings, and then also productive activities. So you have appointments, you have your trainings, but you also want to schedule time with yourself, time so that you can do your productive things, whether that's managing your funnel, whether that's looking at your sales cadence so you can keep track of the activity and your revenue and your goals. You want time with yourself is one of the most appointments you're going to set on your calendar. So make sure you're blocking time for that as well. But those are three really different categories that you can split it up into: is appointments, right, trainings that you're doing, and then time with yourself as well. So that's winning the month. And then winning the day, right? Keeping track of the day-to-day initiatives, the day-to-day activity that you're doing, making sure that they're productive, they're getting you towards your next goal. So what I typically like to do is every day I take a look at and I'm looking at them right now. I use reminders on my Mac because it's connected to my iPhone, it's connected to my iPad, so I can always keep track of my reminders for the next day. That's really my daily activities. What needs to be accomplished the next day, and it should be prepared and ready to go. So when you wake up, it's good to go. Like, your day is planned. You have your appointments set that you've set because, right, you had your month plan, so all your appointments are set. And so these initiatives, these activities that you're doing should be based around those appointments that you've set. And then also, you should prioritize those based on what's most important, how much time each of those are going to take. And then also, they should fall into those categories, right? They should fall into appointments, right? It should fall into trainings, fall into time with yourself. So whether that's, I'm going to schedule some stuff, I'm going to make some calls, or I'm going to work on some trainings, work on my sales cadence. So those should relate to what you're doing with your time from a daily basis. So recap on that: it's in order to win the year, you got to win the quarter, right? High level, plan out what you want to be doing that quarter, break it down into monthly, have those appointments scheduled out um, on a monthly basis, so you're ahead of the game. And then daily, hit the day hit the day hard, have it planned, ready to go, so you're not wasting your day adding to-dos onto your reminders. Number two, okay, so you have your year planned out, you're ready to win your year, you're getting ready you're setting your appointments. So what sort of return are we getting on the time that we put out there? So keep track of your time, keep track of the ROI you're getting on your time. This directly relates to networking events that you're going to, meetings that you're doing, trainings that you're putting out. Keep track as to how many opportunities you're getting from the time that you're putting in, because if you're not getting enough opportunities from some certain activity or a certain time you're putting in somewhere, then you want to make sure you're adjusting that, so you're not continuing to waste your time throughout the year. So I like to keep track of my ROI. And so that's really revolves around the events that I go to, the trainings, the groups of people I'm doing trainings for. There's some groups that, hey, they see a lot of value in it, they want to do it, and we get a lot of return in it. And there's some groups that don't. So now I can help adjust my time and focus on what works best. Another big topic with ROI, and I mentioned it on my pet peeve in the beginning, is just feeling busy, right? Or being busy. Don't fill your calendar up. Please do not fill your calendar up with just nonsense appointments, events, whatever it may be. Just don't fill it up with nonsense. Qualify it, be productive. So that's why I love going to networking events and prospecting and pre-qualifying how I'm going to spend my time. So if I go to an event, and I talked about this in my networking podcast, I find out individuals that I want to meet with separately, so that I know that my time is going to be worthwhile when I go to when I spend an hour to actually go have a lunch and meet with that individual. So try and pre-qualify your meetings as much as you can, unless you're cold calling. That's something within itself, right? That's a set aside time that, hey, I'm just cold calling, I'm just going through a list. But when it comes to going out and making appointments and setting meetings to get some leads, to get some opportunities to close some deals, pre-qualify those and make sure that they're productive. Do not just set appointments on your calendars just to set appointments up. And I know a lot of times some companies monitor that. Some company monitor some people's calendars, just make sure they're getting enough appointments, make sure they're making enough calls. But listen, if you're just putting appointments on your calendar just to appease your boss or just to keep your job, then I would look for another opportunity, because it's going to hurt your mindset as to what sales is all about and what getting to your goal is all about. So it's got to be worth your time, and you got to be invested in it. So again, ROI, keep track of what you're getting in return with the time that you're putting out. Number three, I'm going to wrap it up and spend a little bit of time on work-life balance, because it's really important that we're out there, right, trying to hit our goals. And I mentioned this on a TikTok that, a lot of us are killing ourselves and grinding to go out and be successful. And what does success mean to you? So this comes to work-life balance, right? Don't overdo it, right? Don't overdo it, because at the end of the day, your life and outside of work is more important than what you're doing at work. And a great way to get rid of work-life balance is to try and integrate what you do on a daily basis within your daily life. So it should really be, hey, my career and my life are one and the same thing. They are together and one and the same. You shouldn't look at it as one's over here and one's over here. Try and figure out a way to integrate the two, so then you're just living life. And your career is a part of your life. Your family is a part of your life. Your friends are a part of your life. Traveling is a part of your life. All of that should be able to work within itself and come together. Some companies do a really good job of giving people freedom and allowing that to happen. And unfortunately, some companies don't. So it all depends on what you want out of your career and what you want out of life. And just see where you're at, see where your company is at, and reevaluate what you want to do. But those two should come together. It shouldn't be work life. It should just be life. So that's what I mean by work-life balance. So for example, I work from home. I love what I do. I'm productive. I do it well, but I'm not sitting at my desk from 9 to 5. That's just not the way it works. I'll take my daughters to dance class at 10 o'clock in the middle of the day. I'll go get a workout in and I'll come back and be productive. So I find ways to integrate life within work. Yeah, there's times at night that I'm sending out emails. I'm working on some stuff for work, but I try and bring it all together so that I have a balanced day that incorporates both my life and work as well. So it's all together as one. So again, work-life balance should be like this. It should just be life. And companies are starting to understand that. Companies are starting to give people more understanding, be more empathetic, and understanding that in order for a great sales rep and a great employee to be productive, they need to be able to feel free to do as they please while they're being productive as well. So just be productive. As long as you're getting your numbers, you're being productive, you're hitting your goals, you're doing your initiatives. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with taking time for yourself as well. All right, so recap. So we talked about really 3 different topics today when it comes to time management. We talked about winning the year, right? And then we talked about making sure we're getting ROI, we're getting a good return on our investment of our time. And then we talked about work-life balance, right? Work, life, it all should be one and wrapped up together. Thank you so much. That's it for today. I appreciate your time. As always, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Have a good one. See ya.